Hello, my name is David, and I'm making this video because I want to make homeowners aware of the possible issues you can have going through the insurance company to get your problem fixed, and make sure it's fixed right. So I'm going to give you a little story about what happened in my situation. End of November, beginning of December, we had a drain line leak which caused water damage in our back den of our house. So I put in a call to my insurance company, got the adjuster out there. Adjuster advised us that they had to do more testing to figure out if there's any lead, asbestos, any type of contaminants that could, possibly harm me and my family. So I, agreed with them. I'm in the construction field, so I know all about that stuff. I said, absolutely. So they came out, they did their testing. There's linoleum underneath the tile that we had in the back there. Well, all this stuff was done prior to us buying the house. So when the test results came back, the linoleum underneath the tile came up positive for asbestos. So that needs to be cleaned up properly. And when the adjuster asked us to, let her have her preferred vendors go in there and get it all cleaned up because they have more control over the situation, make sure the job gets done right. And, if there's any issues, they can address them a lot easier than me calling in one of my vendors. So I agreed. I said, okay, no problem. I just want to make this as easy as possible. I don't want any problems. So she said, okay, very good. So she called in their preferred vendors. They came in and, assessed the situation, gave her estimates on getting it all cleaned up, which, like I said, I was fine with it. Go ahead and get it done. Get me and my family back to normal. So preferred vendor comes in, a few days later, and they start setting up containment and getting it ready to get cleaned up. In the process of, they were still setting up their negative air machine, which is used to help to not spread, any contaminants around the house. So I said, perfect. Everything looked like it was being done right from the start, no issues. So me and my wife are sitting in the living room watching TV, taking care of our, at the time, 2-month-old son. So I start hearing some tools and, sounds like tile being broken up in the back. And I talked to the lead and I said, hey man, just out of curiosity, I said, aren't you guys supposed to have that negative air machine running before you start work? He says, yeah, but we haven't started no work yet. And I said, well, you might want to go check on the guys in the back because I definitely hear some tile being broken up and things like that. So, he goes back there and sure enough, they had already started. And he says, hey, what are you guys doing? We're not supposed to start till the negative air machine's going, this and that. And, he tells them, what, the homeowner does for a living. He's a contractor. So, they stopped work, got the negative air machine set up, got the containment fully set up. Okay, I was, happy, whatever. Mistake, let it ride, go on about our business, let them do their business. So they're there all day till, late evening. And they come out and say, okay, everything's done. There, no issues there. So we got everything cleaned up. The floor, once we take down containment, you guys can go back there. Everything will be good to go. There's an end cap on the floor, so that's going to take a little bit of time to dry. but you can still go back there. It might just be a little slippery. So I said, okay, no problem. We'll just give it a couple days. Once you guys come take down containment, then we'll go back there. So the guy comes from their company, take down containment, get all the trash and stuff cleared out of there. So there's a whole lot of trash, a lot of debris. The guy asked me, hey, I'm by myself. Can you give me a hand? And you know what? I was like, no problem. Give him a hand, taking out all this material and stuff. And when I did that, like I said, it was no big deal. Go. But even while we were back there, their own worker was just kind of shaking his head like, man, what did these guys do? So, and he just kind of said, not everybody at my workplace holds the same standards as, other people. So I was just like, okay, gosh, whatever. It's done. Took down containment. Says, you guys are good to go back here. It's all been cleared. You guys can start doing what you need to do. Perfect. So, day or so later, I called I think a couple days later, I called the contractor to come out there and look and, give me some estimates, run some numbers, see what we're going to be looking at. Well, as we go back in the back there, we start looking around and we start seeing more stuff, just like debris and stuff like that. Then my son, which, I have at that time, 2-month-old, 4-year-old, and 6-year-old. So my son's back there with us. He's curious. He wants to see what dad's doing. He's, wants to be involved. So I figured, hey, it's all cleaned up. Everything's good. They gave us the okay to go back there. It's safe. So then my son brings me a piece of the linoleum tile that came up positive for the asbestos in the first place. And he says, Daddy, what's this? And I said, where'd you get that? First off, put it down and then show me where you got it. So, he takes me around the corner there by the bathroom and says, right here. And I look down, there's still a bunch of debris and material. And I'm just like, okay, go out there with your mom, go to the living room. And, I actually told my wife to go ahead and take the kids to, her dad's house to get everybody out of the house. And I immediately started taking pictures and emailing them, text messaging them to my adjuster and, letting her know what was going on and what we had found. The adjuster calls me back and says, I'll talk to my preferred vendor right now, figure out what's going on. I'm, sorry about this. At first it really seemed like she was genuinely sorry about what was going on and, that she would get down to the bottom of it. So she talks it over with the preferred vendor and she goes, she calls me back and she says, would you mind if we do a 3-way call? And I said, no, absolutely not. So get on the three-way call with them, and the preferred vendor is kind of, has his guard up to begin with. So he's on the defensive side, and we're telling him what's going on. He says, oh, there's no way. My guys do a good job at cleaning. They know what to do and how to do it. Sorry, guys. My allergies are just going crazy today. But anyhow, the preferred vendor, starts saying that, his guys do everything right. They know what they're doing. And I said, well, it just doesn't seem that way to me because there's a lot of stuff left. And I said, this is ridiculous. You're putting people's health and safety at risk. Shouldn't be done. I said, if you guys aren't going to take care of this problem, I said, then, you're going to leave me having to take other measures to make sure, my family's safe. And then he proceeds to, tell the adjuster that, what, he's just looking for a fight and this and that. And I said, looking for a fight just because I want my family to be safe? I'm looking for a fight? I said, obviously you have no customer service skills at all because, and you don't care because if you did, you wouldn't just be talking to me over the phone. You would come out here and take a look at this stuff. And just like I asked my adjuster to do. And she, proceeded to tell me, well, what am I going to do? Just sit there and look at it? And I said, well, no, at least you'll be able to tell and see with your own eyes what is left here and why I have these concerns. So she says, well, you know what? I'm just going to send out additional testing, figure out what's going on here. So I said, okay, talk to her about what additional testing to make sure we're all on the same page. She agreed to do microvac test, air test, everything, all the tests to make sure everything was good. So I said, okay, perfect. Sounds good to me. So they set up the date for the testing. Testing company comes out there, and he starts doing other things, which, is not doing a thorough test. So I started asking him. I said, "Hey, are you guys going to do this test?" He says, "No, your adjuster didn't authorize us to do these type of tests. They're really expensive and this and that." And I says, "Well, I talked to her yesterday, and she said, no problem. That's what we're going to do." So I called her immediately, my adjuster, while he was there on speakerphone, and I asked her. I said, "Hey, aren't we supposed to be doing this testing?" She says, "Oh yeah, no, I put it in. They're going to be doing all those tests." I said, "Okay, well, he's here and he's saying they're not." And she goes, "Okay, I'll call the testing company right now to figure out what's going on here." So the testing company comes out and calls his office, the technician does, and the office states that they just talked to my adjuster, and she's not paying for any of the testing that we had originally agreed upon the other day. And I said, "Well, that's not right. That's not going to be really showing what's contaminated inside the house." So he says, "Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not right. You need to give them a call, maybe speak to her boss. This is their preferred vendor, mind you." So, okay, I call, not getting anywhere with her. She says, "Well, our preferred vendors, they do all the testing, make sure everything's good." So I said, "Okay, I want I'm going to call on an outside source to come in and do some testing, figure out what's going on here." So I call on the outside source and I show them the test that the other company did, the preferred vendor. And he says, "Oh, no, that's not going to tell you exactly what, you need to know to make sure everything's safe or whatnot." So, he goes, "We'll do the right test." And, you might have to pay for it at first, but, then you can more than likely get it reimbursed by the insurance company if, test results do come up positive. So I said, "Okay, very good." So they do their testing. Preferred vendors testing came up negative. Outside source, which has no relation to me, no nothing, comes up positive. So I'm like, how is this possible? And they explained to me, well, we did extensive testing where they just did the testing just to get by. So, that's where the difference is coming in, and this is why we're coming up positive and they're coming up negative. We took all the appropriate measures to make sure that you and your family are going to be safe inside of this house. And I said, that's much appreciated. That's all I ever wanted from the start. So I called the adjuster. Adjuster says, "Oh, I'm looking at the Report now says that it's negative. I said, well, you're looking at two different reports then, because mine's saying positive definitely, and in multiple rooms. So she then says, no, 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 I'm reading it's negative. We're not helping you no more in this situation. I said, well, okay, I'm going to have the testing company give you a call right now. So I called them, advised them as to what was going on and what she had said. And they said, what do you mean? It says right there that it's positive. Why would she say that, it's negative? I said, I don't know. He goes, I'll call and talk to her right now and let her know what's going on. So he did. And, still the insurance company's trying to argue the fact that, their test came up negative and our test came up positive. So, I tried to give them every possibility to just make it right and, take care of what needs to be taken care of before I called the AQMD, which is the Air Quality Management Department, to figure out, if I'm in the right or wrong, whatnot. Whoever's right, whoever's wrong in the situation. So I call the AQMD. They come out, and he steps 1 foot back there, and he's just like, "This is how they left it." I can't. Man, I want to say I can't believe this, but I have had multiple encounters with this company, and we have fined them multiple times, months prior to them working on your house. I'm talking month and a half, 2 months prior to them working on my house. So I said, "Oh, great." He goes, No, I'm going to send the insurance company and the preferred vendor notice to comply, and he's going to run additional testing himself and take it back to their lab," in which they did, and sure enough, it came up positive. So now my house is considered a procedure 5, where everything inside of there, clothes, shoes, couches, beds, everything, electronics, has to be thrown away. So that's what we're in the process of right now, is they're doing the cleanup on it and getting ready to dispose of all of our belongings. Like we have a wood table that can be wiped down, so no big deal there. China cabinet, same thing, that can be wiped down. The glass, everything, but anything that's porous that can keep fibers and stuff in, it has to be thrown away. So that's where we're at right now. The whole purpose of this video is to try to make homeowners aware of how the insurance companies work, and we by paying them, we assume that they're going to have our best interest at heart, and they're going to take care of us, because this is what we pay into. This is why we pay into insurance, is in case something happens, we're covered. We're not putting ourselves in danger. We're not left out on the street, whatever the case may be. We pay for this stuff as a security. So the stuff that I have been through, it's not fun. It's very stressful. Has cost us a lot of money so far. It just messes up our whole life. Everyday tasks that we have to get done. It just makes it that much harder, because we're all displaced, living in a hotel. Granted, I know things can be worse, but my whole thing is we wouldn't be going through this stuff if their preferred vendor would have cleaned up the property properly. We'd be in our house right now, but we're not. We're in a rental house. At first, we were in a hotel for a few months. We spent Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's in a hotel. I pleaded with them. I begged them to please get us into a house Hotel life is not fun with 3 kids. And they said no, they can't do that. And then, finally, just recently, they allowed us to rent a house. And of course, they're paying for that. But there was a lot of stuff that we had to go through in order to get to this point. So, like I said, my whole thing is to make people aware, and don't trust what these insurance companies are saying. Don't trust their preferred vendors, because they don't have your best interest at heart. They have the insurance company who pays them, who keeps them busy, interest at heart. So if I didn't know what I know due to me being in the construction field, my family would be inside that house getting further exposure to asbestos every day. So that's what I'm making this video for, is to try to make people aware, and don't just trust what the insurance company is saying. I'm going to get more into detail in another video, and also going to put up pictures and documents and stuff like that to try to help you guys out as much as possible. Okay, so give me a few here, and I'll get another video up here and try to make people aware as to what these insurance companies and their preferred vendors are doing.